Welcome back to another episode of That Backyard Property Pod. It's the 20th of November and we're here again in the studio for another mini episode. Today, we are talking all things UBank. Why are we talking about UBank? They have made some massive changes in the industry. If you've been following along this journey, you know that there's a guarantee scheme which has blown up socials. This is where you can borrow 95% of the value of a property as a first home buyer. So you only need a 5% deposit. The benefit of this scheme is no mortgage insurance, which is fantastic. The other component to this is around avoiding mortgage insurance. So you've got the scheme here as one place. Other ways of avoiding mortgage insurance is getting a guarantor, so a family member providing their property as additional security to the bank. Removes mortgage insurance altogether. Another way of removing mortgage insurance is based on your profession. A lot of banks will remove the insurance if you are a doctor, a nurse, a midwife, an audiologist, a chiropractor, a physio, a lawyer, a dentist, an accountant, but not a mortgage broker, unfortunately, or a financial planner. So there's so many different industries that will remove LMI. A teacher, an engineer, there's so many. So if you're one of those, you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. The only other way then of removing insurance is having a 20% deposit. This is what I want to tackle today. This is the most common myth in the industry, in the whole of Australian housing, is you need a 20% deposit to buy a property. That is so false, and the UBank policy that has just recently changed has completely changed the industry based on this. So first home buyers have this, certain professions have this, or if you have a family member, they have this. What about the rest of the economy or the rest of the people that want to buy? UBank is now the answer. This is not a sponsored episode either. The reason I'm so excited about this policy is you only need a 10% deposit to avoid mortgage insurance. 10% plus any kind of stamp duty that needs to be paid depending on the price. Now remember, depending on the state or territory you're in, if you are a first home buyer, you can avoid stamp duty or get a concession on the stamp duty. So the UBank policy is based on having 10% of the purchase price plus any stamp duty that needs to be added. Why is this even more important? Is they're offering this to investors. If you are out there and you are listening to this and you are thinking about investing, but you are concerned because you do not have enough equity in your home, and I'll go through that in more detail, or you don't have enough savings, then this is for you because you can avoid mortgage insurance as an investor with UBank now with 10% deposit. This is mind-blowing. It is such a great initiative, and I'm really excited about it, as you can probably tell. Now, let's go into more details for the investors out there. Remember how to create or understand your equity position. If you have a property worth $1 million and your loan amount is $700,000, $1 million, 80% of that is $800. Subtract your loan amount of $700 and you're left with $100,000. What can we do with this $100,000? You can obviously renovate your home. You could buy shares. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying what you could do. The other is you could buy an investment property. That $100,000 can be accessed as cash out. The way that this is structured from a lending perspective is your existing loan of $700,000 and then a new loan of $100,000. And what happens is you have a linked offset account, and that's where that $100,000 lands. So you do not pay any interest on that $100,000 until you use it from your offset account. The best way to do this is making that loan product interest only. So whilst it's in there, you just don't pay any repayments on it at all. You draw down on that $100,000 and it's then used as a deposit. You then obviously pay repayments on that particular loan. Why is this so important? because this UBank policy allows you to extend as far as you want in terms of buying that investment property. So if you were looking at buying a property for $800,000 originally as an investment, you would need $160,000, depending on your profession, but $160,000 plus $35,000. So $195,000 to avoid mortgage insurance for investors. Remember, this is for investors. $195,000 to avoid LMI. So most people that I help, they're investors. If they don't have this, they're still happy to absorb or add on mortgage insurance. Now, because of this UBank policy, you could buy an $800,000 property, take your $100,000 out from your existing home and use that, and you would not be paying any mortgage insurance. That is such a game changer. You're avoiding $15,000 to $25,000 worth of LMI, which is amazing. Hats off to UBank. They were clearly not getting any love because of first home buyers in the guarantee scheme. They don't have anyone under the professional roles that remove mortgage insurance, and they don't offer guarantors. So how are they trying to attract the market? Let's look at investors borrowing up to 90% and not paying any LMI. Unbelievable. Hats off. If you are listening and you are an investor, then please reach out. Let's have a look at this strategy for you. As I previously discussed, Macquarie are almost out of the picture because they removed trust and company lending. Now, let's look at other banks and what they're offering. As I said in that episode, one policy is removed from one bank, another policy is introduced by another. So it's constantly moving beast, and that is why mortgage brokers are so crucial to the lending landscape. Please do not go direct to a bank. They just can only offer you the product that they have under their roof. So seek your mortgage broker. Let them know that you've heard about the UBank changing in the policy and see what they can do. As always, I love having you involved in this community. It is growing. It blows my mind. Help this grow even further by sharing with anyone you think would get some benefit from this. And as always, like and subscribe, and let's continue to grow this. Until next week, where we tackle another mini episode, we will have our pod releasing again on Tuesday, and I cannot wait for you to see that guest because it's a great episode. But until then, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy everything property. Cheers.